Welcome back, folks, to Two Brits, One Puck. I'm your host, a complicated man, a secret party planner, and a milk thief, Dan Masters, with my good friend, the East Kent, Elliot Friedman, and a man who is finally in his new house, Will Everett Human. Will, how you doing?
Very, very good, thank you, Dan. Very good. I'm glad you finally got the moniker right, the correct county. makes a lot of difference. Really does. But yeah, mate, good. How are you?
I'm fine. I do have a little question of the week this week, and it's hockey related as well. For those fans of that.
Yeah, go on. If it's anything to do with my previous coaching history, I want it to be known that it was a decade ago, and therefore has no bearing on, and I shouldn't be punished for it, no matter what I've done.
No, of course, yeah, no, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all what happened 10 years ago. Nothing, that's yeah.
Even last week, arguably, if I'm not being punished in the moment, then sorry, mate, you missed. It
didn't happen.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Too little, too late.
Anyway, with the firing of John Hines, and we'll get onto this. We'll get onto that more in a bit of detail later. It's been 19 years since we had one, but do you think we're any closer to seeing a European head coach?
Does Ralph Kruger not count?
I don't think he does.
I thought he was.
Oh god, here we go. See, is the question ruined already?
Oh, so he's Canadian born, but he's German. So.
Oh, well, there you go. You see, born in Winnipeg.
Yeah, shit. So, I mean, who was the last pure European head coach then? Pure European, pure blood.
I'm glad you asked that question, Will. It was Alpo Suonen at the Blackhawks and Ivan Klinker at the Penguins, both in 2001.
I know him well.
Of course, yeah.
Well, I'd have thought Ricard Gromberg. Well, he'll be the one, surely. If anyone's getting.
Well, that's why I was asking, because there was a little article this week saying that he looks like, he's the guy who should probably get the next kind of job that, someone who's willing to take a chance on a European head coach. It should be that guy.
Yeah. I find it weird, that it doesn't happen more often, In a lot of ways, the NHL feels like the Premier League in the 80s, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Just where it's like, we could only possibly have American and Canadian coaches. How else would we possibly operate a North American league? It just feels so backwards. There's got to be. You're not telling me. There is no way you're telling me that a European coach, let's say Ricard Gromberg, is not better than bloody Alain Vigneault, Mike Yeo, and Michel Therrien.
Fantastic. We haven't talked about the Hydra for ages, have we?
No,
King Ghidorah.
It is, especially as they're getting the results. I think that's why we don't want to talk about it.
Very true.
That's the problem. If they were failing, terribly, then it'd be more interesting to talk about, but we don't want to just say, no, they're doing all right, I suppose.
Yeah, that's a fantastic point.
To answer your question, I don't know when, because I'd have thought it would have happened by now. I'd have thought it'd be normalised by now that we'd have more European head coaches. Maybe next season, maybe the season after. It's got to be soon, though, isn't it?
You would think, because 33% of the league is made up of foreign players.
Yeah.
And this year's draft, 55%, the sort of the top players are meant to be Europeans.
Which is equal parts a crazy big number and a crazy small number, because that still means 45% of the league's draft is coming from two countries.
I see what you mean. That's a good point.
And one continent. And especially where there's almost a majority of it is a shared junior system. Yeah, that's 45% of players coming from effectively one junior system.
Yeah,
which is just weird.
I've said before, I'm surprised more teams don't take chances with things, because what's the punishment for being bad? There is none. I've said this before. It's not like soccer where you're going to get relegated.
Punishment. Are you advocating like a docking salary cap if you're really bad? Teams should be folded.
No, but it's true. It's true though, isn't it? It's true though, isn't it? If your season doesn't go right in soccer, that team might disappear into the lower leagues and never kind of be seen again, a la Swindon Town. Whereas in any American sport, they were bad this year. Well, what's the penance for being bad?
No,
they get the best
really
young player in the world.
Yeah.
Well, how's that? Hang on, that's not punishment. We sucked this year. Oh shucks.
Just to pause on it, was Swindon in Division 1 back in the day then?
Yeah, Swindon were a Premier League team at one point.
Like proper Premiership.
A Premiership team. Premier League. Yes.
Jesus.
Exactly.
Next you're going to tell me Leeds were in the Premiership.
Exactly. You don't get that in NHL, do you? Oh God! Do you remember when the Rangers were in the NHL? Now they're just like scraping around in the I don't know, whatever.
Now they're like a men's league team.
Now they're just skating around in New York State Second Division. Like, no, they're terrible now. They've just fallen on hard times. No,
all
there's
their
no hard
players
times.
are subway drivers.
Lundqvist doing an Uber every Saturday to make up his wages.
I wasn't thinking that way, but yeah, that's even better. Like,
Exactly, they have to go semi-pro.
Bloody Capo Caco driving a cab.
Yeah, because they've fallen down so far because they're rubbish. No, so just why don't you just hire a European head coach? Who cares?
In a logical way, that should be happening all the time because, like you said, there's no sort of repercussions for being bad, or rather, the only repercussions are good ones. But you're always talking about the most backward, least progressive league in arguably all of professional sports. So it depends which side of the logic coin you want to flip that day.
It is surprising, and at the same time, not surprising in any way.
Yeah, I think it should happen soon, but I would equally not be surprised at all if it doesn't ever happen again.
All right then, should we get on with the show?
Yeah, all right.
Hey everybody, it's that time of the week. It is the Smooth Recap. Shout out to former Canadiens players Marty Barry, Walter Buswell and Paul Hines. If these names seem unfamiliar, it's because they last played 80 years ago, which was the last time the Habs lost 8 games in a row.
The Vegas Golden Knights were the only NHL team voted the most popular franchise in their home state. Hockey teams were beaten out by NFL, MLB, NBA and even NCAA teams across the rest of the United States. Sounds about right.
Detroit's tanking gods are fully embracing their subjects. After Jimmy Howard gets injured mid-game in the shellacking by the Leafs, Jonathan Bernier steps in. The problem was Bernier had the flu, and a few minutes earlier was face down in the toilet, saying hi to his pre-match meal.
Fuck Bill Peters, I hope his application for the Dole gets denied.
I'm going to bang this drum all season. But the New York Islanders Lego system produces another great stat, as they've had 12 different players so far this season score a game-winning goal.
In amongst the news, Evander Kane has urged us not to confuse what happened with Mike Babcock and what happened with Bill Peters, which is good advice if you ask me.
I'm a hockey expert, you know. My pre-season sneaky pick, the Philadelphia Flyers, are proving this to be true, as they accumulated more points in November than any other Eastern Conference team.
Did you know that between 1981 and 2001, over a 20-year stretch, the Art Ross Trophy was only won by 3 people? Jaromir Jagr, Brent Gretzky and Brendan Lemieux.
Absolute scenes in New York this week, as 3 Rangers D-men combine on 1 goal for the first time in 34 years. It seems that just like my wife, this week, the Rangers love the D.
Mikko Koivu has become the first player to suit up in 1,000 games for the Minnesota Wild, which just about sums up the Wild's history so far.
And that was your Smooth Recap.
How do you get 3 D-men combining for a goal?
I don't know, but they did.
I'm very angry that you're taking credit for the Flyers being good this year, because it's actually my fault that they're good this year for picking them last year. So it's like
you're taking credit?
Yeah, I had faith during the dark years, and now you're swanning it in, saying, oh yeah, they're really good, and I'm such a genius for picking them, when really I'm the genius for picking them when they were bad.
Yeah, I can't find those Rangers players, and I'm not gonna. So sorry.
So it's fake news. You just we can.
It's not fake news. I saw that was the headline on NHL's PR Twitter. So okay, that's cool. But it didn't say on there who it was.
You'd have thought it'd be pretty easy to find then.
You would think so, but yeah, it's not.
Looks like I'm going to be making up some interesting stats for next year.
I didn't make it up. It's true.
For the first time in Blackhawks history, both goaltenders combined for a goal in regulation.
God, if it bothers you that much, I'll send you the link later.
No, it's fine.
I'll have a proper look later.
It's fine. I'll do my own research. I can't trust anything you send me anymore.
Okay, that's fine. I don't mind that. Who's winning the cup this week?
Dennis Bergkamp is going to win the cup this year, this week, this lifetime, because he's just great.
Well, do you know what?
You can't argue. Can you?
No.
It's not wrong.
I can't argue with fandom in any way. And if you're going to shout out one of the greats, that's fine, obviously.
There you go. It was specifically spurred on by someone posting 20-year anniversary of some great assist he had on a Freddie Ljungberg goal. So relatively topical, but yeah.
Oh, is it not the anniversary of that goal against Newcastle?
No, not the goal. It's
not the goal.
I think it was against Newcastle still. Like he just holds the ball up really well, dancing around two players on the edge of the box, and then just chips it with the outside of his foot on for Ljungberg, and Ljungberg just dinks it over the keeper, and away you go. Still a great goal.
Do you know what's hilarious? Do you know what's that we don't talk about enough was that he would never fly to away games because he was scared of flying.
Yeah, like driving all across Europe, which is mental.
There were certain games he couldn't play because he had to fly there, and he was like, "Well, I'm not going then." And they were just like, and Arsenal were just like, "All right then."
Right, it's not happening.
What?
Which is like one of the most mental things that's ever happened in professional sports.
He would have to go everywhere by ferry or by train.
Even back in the day, I loved the idea of just Dennis Bergkamp missioning it in some little like Citroen C3, driving to Galatasaray away or whatever.
Getting on the sleeper train or something in Italy and like waking up in, I don't know, Portugal or something stupid like that.
Just with like a pair of boots tied around his neck.
Yeah. Already got his kit on ready in case he's late.
Sleeping in full kit. Yeah, he was a little bit mad, old Dennis, wasn't he?
Yeah, going by what we know, I would say, yeah, he was a little bit bonkers. I think
much.
he's a genius, isn't he? All geniuses are a bit crazy, aren't they?
Oh yeah, definitely. Well, you can't do the sort of things that he did on a football pitch without being a little bit weird, a little bit mental. Who have you got winning the cup? As I think realistically, Dennis Bergkamp's probably not allowed to win the Stanley Cup.
No, probably not. Winning the cup for me this week are the Hershey Bears fans.
Oh,
they're all
yes.
winning the cup as they break their own world record.
Scarbosa in front, deflection, stopped by Huska, rebound, they score! It's Teddy Bearcats time! Here they come! Christian Jew slipped the goal! It's raining stuffed animals in Chocolate Town!
Following a goal by Christian Jews, more than 45,000 bears rained down onto the ice, beating their previous record by 10,000.
I mean, so like, do we know what the attendance was for that game?
I guarantee you, it wasn't 45,000 and everyone brought one bear.
That's the thing. At the very least, you've got 2 bears per person. Probably upwards of 3 bears per person, which is...
Yeah, and some of the bears... Do you see some of them? They were massive. Some of them were bigger than the players. I'm like, why are you bringing that with you?
That big sloth, wasn't it? Where it's got like 4 geezers carrying it down to to the ice. I was watching a little video of all those bears raining down.
Yeah.
And I was just thinking, this sport is loopy. Like, this is the
insane.
best side of hockey. How could you ever explain that to your average like English or European sports fan? Look at this. Someone scored. It's not even like it's like a hat-trick goal or something, or like a game-winning goal. It's like just a goal by the home team. Bam, here you go. 45,000 bears.
45,000. Just ridiculous.
5,000 bears.
Check out the pictures of this, people. It's great stuff. Great stuff.
Do you reckon there's ever been a teddy bear toss game with a hat-trick as well?
Well, maybe. I didn't have thought that.
Because I'd feel like if I've cleaned up all those thousands of teddy bears, and then as a member of the ice maintenance staff, I'm called back out to clear up a bunch of hats, I've got to be like, you're taking a piss, aren't you?
Yeah, maybe on Teddy Bear night, you're not allowed to score a hattie. You get 2 goals, you get pulled for the rest of the game. That's it. Just so you don't antagonise the ice staff.
Been benched.
Yeah, exactly. All right, who's getting relegated?
The LA Kings are getting relegated for not picking on someone their own size by trying to chat the San Jose Barracuda. It's like, come on, mate. Come on, it's not really on. They were getting out of the Barracuda, the AHL affiliate of the Sharks, on Twitter, and the Barracuda hit straight back by saying, basically, what, you're so shit now that you've got to take on AHL teams. And yeah, that's the right response. Come on, if you're going after teams in lower leagues, then you're clearly admitting that you're shit. They've basically relegated themselves via Twitter now.
2 actual relegations this week, as I'm going to relegate the New Jersey Devils. Well, as I'm going to steal some content here from future best friend of the show, Dmitry Filipovic, but he had a good point in that the Devils are so much worse than the Detroit Red Wings because the Wings are trying to be bad. The Devils thought they'd actually be a good team and are still actively trying to win games.
Yeah, the Devils thought they'd brought in, but well, to be fair, a lot of people thought they brought in players which would make a difference for them this year, and unfortunately, that seems to not be the case at all.
I watch the Devils actually quite a bit because obviously it's East Coast and it's a good time for me to kind of catch some games. So
and on paper they've got some good players that are worth watching.
Yeah, for sure. And I watched that whole game against the Rangers. Fuck me, it was terrible. The Rangers scored 2 shorthanded goals, one on a 4-minute penalty and the other on a 5-minute penalty. Devils were atrocious. Atrocious.
From the sounds of it, they're playing like Colorado were a few years ago, when they just couldn't break out properly, could barely string a couple of passes together, barely keep possession.
They've got no ideas, no guile.
Just nothing at all. Nothing's going right for them.
No, nothing at all. So, and we also talk about this now. John Hines is gone as we approach what I like to call Berube time. So, not only do the Devils have to, save their season, but they have to save a lot more because, I mean, Taylor Hall's already got to be gone, right?
Oh, with Jesus Christ! Like if he re-signs in New Jersey, then he's, I don't know what you'd say he is, mental.
I think the Devils might be the only team in history who has to rebuild their rebuild.
Yeah, I think they're a good example in like taking your time with it. You've got to be very lucky if you're gonna kickstart your rebuild properly, and the way you kickstart your rebuild is not with an ageing PK Subban and Wayne Simmons on a 1-year, $5 million contract. We've already had decent enough evidence that first overall picks are not enough to make a great team straight away, potentially ever. How can Ray Shero not look at what's happened with the Oilers over the last 45 years it feels, and not think that maybe Jack Hughes and Nico Hischier is not enough?
I agree. Can you imagine if they win the lottery again?
I mean, I can. We've seen it in recent history.
I did put this on Twitter, but do you think they'd get the same kind of vitriol the Oilers get? Because I don't think they would.
No, I don't think so, because I think Hughes, Hischier and Lafreniere are quite of the same. I don't know, actually, on paper they're probably a bit better than the number 1 picks that the Oilers got, potentially.
Yeah, I was thinking that.
Well, no, not better than. Because obviously Hall and McDavid are better than the 3 of them, I'd say. But then you've got, Nugent Hopkins and now Yakupov in the middle of that. So, yeah, I don't think they would necessarily, just because they're a bit of a forgotten franchise already. No one really cares about the Devils, do they? I bet if most fans would, off the top of their head, forget that they've had 2 number 1 picks in the last 3 years.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think people would. I think people do forget that.
Yeah, I mean, I do regularly, because you don't think of them as having 2 number 1 picks.
No, you don't.
Because at the same time, you don't necessarily think of them as being a particularly bad team, not the way that the Oilers have been. But it's just down to the difference between a Canadian team and the 3rd largest team in their own city.
All right, here's a question then.
Go on.
What will the Devils get in return for Taylor Hall? And to follow up on that, if you're another GM what would you give up for Taylor Hall? So what do you think the Devils... I mean, clearly the Devils are going to want the classic, or maybe even more than the classic, which is a first-round pick, a prospect, and an NHL-ready player. But if you're another GM, would you offer that?
Yeah, for Taylor Hall, definitely. He's an MVP. When was he the MVP? 2018?
2 years ago?
Yeah,
Not last season, season before, yeah?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
When the Capitals won.
Yes.
Yeah, so he's a very, very recent MVP. He's definitely worth the classic. The hard thing is we haven't really got a barometer. You think ideally if Panarin had been traded last year, that's the barometer sort of thing for that kind of trade. But it didn't happen, so we don't quite know what other GMs think a player who definitely isn't going to re-sign with the team is worth. Because in a lot of ways, the Devils their hands are tied because everyone must know that they're losing the player at the end of the year no matter what. So does that?
Yeah, that's what's good. That's the kicker, isn't it? Is that everyone knows he's not going to re-sign.
Yeah. So does that significantly?
So you'd have to have a Mark Stone situation where you've already spoken to him clearly, even though that's not allowed. So he then signs his 8-year, $70 million deal within an hour of getting there.
But then
your team.
Even if you treat Hall as a pure rental, that's hard, isn't it? Because Mark Stone got a good haul, a very good haul, depending on what you think of Eric Brandstrom. But there's still no first round pick in there. There's no, it was a couple of prospects, a second and another pick. Is that right?
No, I thought Mark Stone was Brandstrom, another player, and a second rounder.
I thought there was another prospect in there.
Yeah, I thought there was Brandstrom, another player, and then a second rounder.
So just one pick.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
That sounds about right, doesn't it? Oscar Lindbergh and a
there you go. And a 2020 second rounder, yeah.
This year's second rounder that belongs to the Stars, annoyingly. Fucking centres. Is that it? I mean, Brandstrom's a good prospect, but jeez.
But you don't want to get caught in a Tavares situation where you get nothing.
Yeah, so that's the thing. So, on paper, is Taylor Hall a better player than Mark Stone?
I don't know, because the thing with Taylor Hall now is his reputation taking a hit because he's on such a bad team? If you look at his underlying numbers this year, are you going to be looking at him going, wow, he's clearly worth a first-round pick and an amazing prospect to get this guy into my team? Or are you thinking, oh, God, I hope his injuries don't flare back up. I hope he doesn't kind of drop off a cliff on the wrong side of 30. Do I just risk it and then get him for free in the summer when he does his Tavares tour type thing? It's tricky.
There's a lot of moving parts, and there's the question of is Taylor Hall Matt Duchene? Is he,
Good point.
That's the thing. He's always been on bad teams, but is there a reason for that? Is it because Taylor Hall's actually cursed? Or so terrible in the room? He's getting in the way of his coaches physically abusing the other players, so they're not getting a winning mentality.
That's true.
Yeah, I don't know. Is the short answer, Dan? Just because trades are hard enough to work out as it is, let alone when you've got so many different variables and sort of things that can be interpreted in different ways with the player and the situation and stuff. I wouldn't be surprised if you saw 2 first-round picks and a prospect, but I also wouldn't be surprised if you saw a second-round pick and a prospect for him. So
I just don't think teams are going to pony up what the Devils think they should get because for that reason. Unless he agrees, okay, yes, you get me in a trade, I will sign for you immediately for this figure, like Mark Stone did.
Yeah,
and then it's fine, you don't mind.
Which I think we will see, because that has sort of become the norm, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think we'll find out between now and February, though, won't we?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, he's definitely
it's Taylor Hall Watch 2019.
Which doesn't feel as interesting as the previous watches, but maybe it just hasn't ramped up enough. Maybe we've just had too much on our plate in the last few weeks.
Yeah. Okay. How many starters and scratches you got?
I've got 2 starters and a singular scratch.
I've got 3 starters and a singular scratch. So I shall go first. I'm going to start Matt Murray, who, before the game, Matt Murray skates over to Jacob Markstrom and they have a little chat. And it was a little show of goalie love and solidarity. Matt Murray lost his father last year, And obviously Jacob Markstrom's father died this year, so it was a nice little show of respect, a nice little goalie union moment that was nice.
There we go. It's beautiful. There we go. My first starter is Matt Murray for sharing his grief with Jacob Markstrom. Which is good. I'm glad that's the one that we've shared this week. That's a good one. We haven't shared one for a while.
That's a good one.
That's a nice one.
God, I can't remember. Have we ever shared one before?
Oh, I think we might have at some point, but yeah, I can't. It's long enough ago.
We must have done, but it is crazy. It is crazy. We don't even, as I've said before, people, we genuinely do not consult about these things before the show. We just get on the show and do it. And the fact we don't have any crossovers is usually an unbelievable thing, but there we go. There's a crossover there. But it's a good one, so that's okay.
Such a touching moment that deserved a bit of crossover.
You're going to have to indulge me slightly here, Will, but David Pasternak is getting started this week for about 50 things. His setup for the OT winning goal for Krejci against the Rangers was fucking just beautiful. Inside out toe drag between two players and then no look pass to Krejci for the open net. And then his goal against the Habs, followed by his celebration reminiscent of Russell Crowe in Gladiator, was amazing.
Krejci gets it to Pasternak, and watch this little move. 1 against 2. He goes around a forward, Pavel Buchnevich. And then he throws it back to where he came from, and there's David Krejci, and goes top shelf.
When Gallagher missed that breakaway, I thought to myself, man, if they strike next, this could really hurt. And that's a rolling puck. I think he's firing. I don't think this puck is sitting flat. We'll try to have a better look at it here. Olsen gets caught. Weber's coming, and it's a right-hand shot shooting from the right-hand side. So the angles are even worse, and the percentages are worse. And he rips this thing off the post and in, far side. And there's Gallagher, and he knows it.
He's also the first Bruins player in 45 years to reach 25 goals in the league before anyone else. He's also the first player in 23 years to get 25 goals before his 27th game. And only 3 players in history have scored 12 or more goals in the first 2 months of a season, which is Mike Bossy, Wayne Gretzky, and the 4th best player ever, Mario Lemieux. Not bad. I'm not bad for young David.
Not having that. No, I'm not going to bite.
What's that?
I'm not going to bite. No, I'm not going to even acknowledge what you just said.
What? What are you talking about?
No, no means no, Dan. I'm not talking about it.
Oh, okay.
But you know what you've said, weird. And you know it's an untruth.
Huh, weird. Okay, we'll move on. Oh, here's my question, though. Do you think he gets 50 and 50?
Oh, I bloody hope so. I bloody hope so.
I know.
As much as I don't want you to be happy at all, I really want to see past that. Who else is on?
I can't blame you.
Like, Ovechkin's kind of close for 50 and 50, isn't he?
No, Draisaitl's the closest. Well, Pasternak's way out in front.
I hope so, because that'd be so cool to see. Especially as it feels like the days of 50 and 50 are long gone. But it could happen. It looks like it. If he carries on like this, it might, but we're about to hit the dog days of December, January, February, so I think I wouldn't be surprised if he slows down a bit.
I was pretty annoyed last night when the Bruins played the Hurricanes last night, and Bruins were up, so the Hurricanes pulled their goalie, and Pasternak wasn't on the ice for the empty netter. I was like, come on, just stick him on.
Got to give him a bit of help,
50. They'll count. Anyway, David Pasternak, fantastic so far.
What a legend.
Your final starter.
My final starter is going to be Evgeny Malkin. He's now second in Penguins franchise history for 5-point games. He's got 8 5-point games in his career now. Number 1 is Mario Lemieux, undoubtedly the best player ever. So Malkin's 8. Yeah, he's got 8 in his career. How many do you think Lemieux got in his career 5-point games?
This is one of those great ones. It's going to be like 27 or something.
51, Dan.
That's amazing.
51.
That's amazing.
What? So good. So good.
There are certain players who just fuck up so many stat sheets with their ridiculousness. There was one the other night about John Carlson, and it was something like, John Carlson's reached 40 points in, 24 games or something. He's the first player to do so since something like Al McInnes in whatever year it was. And then it listed other players who've got to 40 points in 20-something games. And Bobby Orr was top with 55 points in 23 games. I was like, that's just stupid. That's so dumb. Anytime there's a Gretzky one, let you know, oh, this player's got his 7th hat-trick of his career. Who's top of the list? Gretzky with 105. For fuck's sake.
I love when
Just ruins it.
But it's really reinforced where all the other players are quite close to each other. On this Penguins one, like, it's like Malkin with 8 and then Yager and Crosby are tied with 7 or whatever it might be. And yeah, just right out there, 51. It's just... What a player. What a player.
Amazing. Absolute stat busters. Good stuff. My last starter is the San Jose Sharks, who invited the young player who scored the Spinorama goal at intermission last week, then moonwalked. So he got to practice with them and show them some moves, and he taught them how to do the moonwalk celebration. Now, the funny thing was, the tweet pointed out that he was teaching Timo Meier and Kevin Labanc some moves. I was kind of hoping the kid was teaching Kevin Labanc how to negotiate better contracts, but I don't think he was. That would have been better, for a better way for Kevin Labanc to spend his time.
The kid's doing his economics GCSE, and he's like, right, Kevin, there's something called fair market value, and I think you need to learn a bit about it.
Doesn't even need to be economics, it could be GCSE maths. That would do.
Just
How much money do you make a year, Kevin? 1. How much does he make? 5. 1 is less than 5, isn't it? Okay. That's all he needed to say.
How many goals did you score last year, Kevin? Yeah. And how many did he score? Oh, interesting.
Yeah. And then he just moonwalks away.
Mate, if only.
If only. Who are you scratching?
I'm going to scratch, I don't know who it is, but they need to be scratched off the face of the earth like an ex's name off of the front of your GCSE maths exercise book. Whoever was at the Canadians Preds game, no, I don't even know it was a Canadians Preds game, they're wearing like one of those half and half jerseys of the Canadians and the Predators, and like the saber-toothed cat was eating the toilet bowl of the Habs, and it's just like, what is even happening here? Why is this? Because I'm still gobsmacked about it. So whoever was wearing that abomination, scratch yourself, and not in a good way.
Yeah, I'm sorry, folks. Will and I are very progressive, but there are certain things I will not stand for in the beautiful game of hockey, and half jerseys is one of them.
Mate,
sorry.
Half and half jerseys in any sport is just despicable.
Unless,
Unless like you're someone's mum or dad, and it's your 2 sons or son and daughter.
Yes.
Or 2
like
daughters.
the Kachucks or something.
Yeah,
Fine.
yeah, exactly. Or the Hughes' parents. Even then...
Actually, no. Sorry. Even then, no. One parent picks one kid, the other parent takes the other kid. That's it. Pick a side.
Yeah, exactly. Or if you're like Lisa on Ice. Or if you're a single parent, then just whoever's at home. That's whose jersey you're wearing.
No, I agree. Half and half jerseys, terrible. Half and half scarves. What are you doing? Come on.
Oh, mate, people selling those.
I know.
That's like a tourist trap, though. Like with the half and half jerseys, you have to like pay to get or do it personally, and that's sinful to me. Yeah, like you don't ever go at anyone for having like a ticket that has both teams' logos on it, and that's how I see a scarf. But like a jersey or a shirt, that's sacred.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, scarves we can let you off if you're a tourist.
How do you feel about the like anniversary shirts you get more in football than anything else, where it's like little mashups of all the teams' kits from last 100 years or whatever?
I don't mind that because that's still the team. So if it's the last 100 years of Arsenal and somebody has like a piece of each jersey from last, it's still an Arsenal shirt. That's still one team. That's fine.
Yeah, I'll do that.
My only scratch this week, and I feel I'm going to scratch this player. It may seem weird for them to be not scratched for one reason, but for this reason. But I'm going to scratch Tom Wilson for his lack of chirping ability, as he was being chirped by Joe Thornton the other night again in the game against the Sharks, and Tom Wilson chirped back, "At least I have a ring." That's just cheap. That's cheap. I expect better than that from hockey players.
Yeah, I don't know. You can't expect Tom Wilson to be the brightest tool in the box, can you?
No, but I feel all hockey players could like hold their own with a stand-up comedian if it came to kind of back and forth banter in action. Christ. I feel I expect a higher level of chirping from all hockey players at any level.
What piss poor open mic night stand-up comics are you watching then?
Well, clearly quite a few, but
Is it,
I don't know.
enough that you think bloody hockey players have got more personality than they do? Jesus Christ. That's diabolical.
You've watched those little 5-minute videos of hockey players chirping on each other? Some of them are great.
Yeah, they're good, but it's not like comedy genius though. It's just like, you've got grey hair, Drew Miller. Haha, dickhead. The one I always really like in those compilations, have you seen the Brian Bellows one from the 80s or 90s or whatever?
Oh God, go on. You'll have to remind me.
It's like really old footage of Brian Bellows. He's skating past, I think it's an old Penguins bench. They're just saying oh, you're real fucking good, Bellows, you're a fucking superstar. And just I don't know, it tickles me.
I expect better from hockey players. I have a high standard for chirping. It should be a lot better.
Yeah, I mean that's shameful, but I wouldn't hold the whole hockey community at a high comedic standard. Because most of the time it's just, you're a pigeon. All right. which gets a chuckle out of me, but I don't think they deserve that much credit.
All right, let's move on.
What we got? Mark Borowicki.
Before we get into the news, we are on Spotify, iTunes, Google Podcasts, YouTube, and other places that are not quite as famous. If you ever feel so inclined, then Will and I would love a 5-star review. Yes, we would. Thank you very much. Okay, on to the news. The first thing is, let's get this crap out of the way first, because I don't want to go on about it, because we did this last week, and I wanted to jump off a bridge at the end of the show.
Christ, we've done
as you could probably tell, Will, after we finished recording, I was fucking, miserable. So
it was grim, as we should be, though, because it's a grim subject.
Yeah, it was. But anyway, so this week, lots of things have happened, but we'll try and cover it all in a nice little tight bundle here. Bill Peters is gone in Calgary. He resigned late last week, thank God. Ron Francis and Peter Karmanos have got into a he said, where Karmanos said in a statement if he knew about Bill Peters physically attacking players in Carolina, he would have fired him on the spot, laying, of course, some blame at Ron Francis's door. Ron Francis then made a statement saying he told management about it and nothing else occurred. What are your thoughts on this whole situation?
I think, it's cheap from Karmanos, really, isn't it? Because nobody can prove what happened, and he's not even involved in the league at all anymore. So it's to come out and say something like that. It's trying to wash your hands of the situation when nobody can really prove how involved you were in the first place anyway. So it's just needless and cheap. I think Seattle need to bin off Francis, don't they?
This is what Francis is trying to keep his job in Seattle before it's even started properly. His job's already in danger. There isn't even a team there yet.
It's a hard one though, isn't it? Because we want people to change, and we want people to grow, and we want people to acknowledge their mistakes. But where do you draw the line, sort of thing? Can we accept that Francis has learned from his mistakes and should be given an opportunity to not make things right, but act differently in his potential future tenure with Seattle, or should he be punished with the rest of the people who are involved in the situation?
I know, and it is tough because I've had this kind of thing at work where somebody does something and there's an investigation, and if Francis is saying he told management about what happened and you can't prove that he didn't, what do? You can't just... I mean, if you're asking my personal opinion, I don't believe Francis told them anything. I believe that Francis probably said to whatever, just get on with it, it's fine. We'll just keep, we won't say anything, who cares? Because I think he's probably, he's old school hockey dude, that's what I believe. But I can't prove that. And so does he need, is it fair if he loses his job on something you can't prove? No, it's not, really. That's kind of where you are.
I think what you can prove out of the Carolina situation is neither Bill Peters nor Ron Francis left their positions, during that time, sort of thing, which says that either Ron Francis didn't report it to management and then subsequently didn't fire Bill Peters for it, or try and get him fired for it, or if Francis did report it to management, he didn't then resign his post in a sort of protest of, well, if you're going to enable Peters to carry on like this, then I'm going
good
instead,
point.
sort of thing.
Good point.
So, yeah, there's evidence that, we don't, like you say, we don't know exactly what happened, but we can ascertain that something wasn't done properly by Ron France, this sort of thing. Do we allow the man to prove that he's changed? Is a question for people smarter than I am.
Yep. And then later in the week, even more stories about Mike Babcock came out. Chris Chelios said that basically Babcock is a massive egotist and he would assert his power over the veteran players, even if it was to the detriment of the team. I mean, God, you can find transcripts of his interview or listen to the show, but just tons of situations where Babcock would, the Mike Modano thing, like leaving him at 1,499 games. He scratched him for like the last 10 games of the season, something like that, so he wouldn't hit 1,500. Jason Spezza, obviously early this year, playing against Ottawa, former Ottawa player, didn't have him play. The outdoor game where Chelios said he was going to play, so Babcock played him for 2 minutes and then sat him for the rest of the game, like he dressed 7 D-men, and then that happened. There's reports of Babcock allegedly sort of pinning press guys up against the wall, screaming at them, saying, you're not going to cover this team if unless you talk about things I want to talk about and all this kind of shit. So Mike's probably water skiing somewhere or fucking normal skiing somewhere, just thinking, oh God, there's just a literal avalanche of shit coming his way, probably.
Yeah, but an avalanche of his own shit that he shat on other people for years, so yeah. Fucking deserves it. And all that stuff with Johan Franzen.
Oh God, yeah, I forgot about that, yeah.
Babcock's reign of terror is over, and it's funny looking at, it's one of those classic things where the writing was on the wall for like the whole time, basically. When you look back, the Modano being stuck on 1,499 games thing has been a well-known fact for years and years and years, and it's just one of those funny things in life where when you have the other pieces to put together around it, it's like, oh yeah, that's actually a really big red flag that he did that to a player of that prestige. As we said last week, I'm glad that this is enabling and empowering players to come out against the abuse they suffered for years and years at the hands of various coaches.
Yeah, Franzen called Babcock the worst person he's ever met, which a few people have said. He's just the worst human being they've ever met, which is fucking unbelievable.
That's a pretty impressive title to hold, isn't it?
It's not bad. Other ones are Jamie LeBlanc, the head athletic trainer and equipment manager of the Swift Current Broncos, has been fired due to unprofessional conduct. Various players have come forward to accuse Mark Crawford, including Brent Sopel, Sean Avery and Patrick O'Sullivan. And Crawford's currently with the Blackhawks as an assistant, obviously, and has been suspended while he's being investigated.
Yeah, again, another one of like, who could have seen this coming with Mark Crawford, the guy who ordered the hit on Steve Moore. A guy who's literally been in court for his involvement in violence in hockey. I don't know. Not to just blow in white horse it or anything like that, but the signs have been there for years about these people. Absolutely donkey's years. Like Mark Crawford should have never been back in the league. I don't know, at least it would seem some semblance of justice is being enacted out now against these people.
Yes, and then I think it was Monday. Some good news finally was that Akim Aliu has met with Gary Bettman and Bill Daly. He came out afterwards and sort of made a little statement saying he's hopeful there are big changes on the way, which looks like it could include comprehensive harassment and a discrimination policy, a whistleblower and retaliation protection for players, which fucking sounds unreal that you need like retaliation protection, but yeah, like we are there.
Well, I suppose that would be for like, losing your place in the team or whatever, rather than getting a brick thrown through your window or something like that.
Encouraging more diversity and inclusion, and then breaking the culture of silence, which we talked about last week, which was the it stays in the room culture, which has to change as well.
Absolutely. Like the whole culture needs to change. The idea of the code needs to just be abolished, really, doesn't it?
Yeah, for sure. Hopefully if this all changes around, and it looks like it is heading that way at least, we are taking things slowly, but things are moving, it seems. I can just think in 10 years, we're going to look back and say, Christ, how did we not see these things right in front of us? How did we not do anything about it? I'm hoping we get to the point where it just seems alien to us that these things ever even happened.
Yeah, absolutely. If we can get to the point where scoffing at the idea that it wasn't more obvious to us, that means that we've gone in the right direction and we've made some significant progress. So, yeah, here's hoping we're all feeling and looking like idiots 5 years down the line, 2 years down the line, however quick it can happen.
Okay, let's move on to some on-ice news.
Yeah, the more pleasant sort of news.
Yeah, where we can make fun of people and teams. That's
our speciality.
Enjoy. Yeah. Speaking of impartiality, let's talk about Marc Bergevin feeling the heat. Did you know, Will, that so far this season there have been 13 teams who've had a losing streak of 5 or more games?
Yeah, I don't know who any of those teams could possibly be.
Doesn't 13 seem like a lot, though?
Yeah, it does seem like a lot, but at the same time, five games or more feels like a bit of a low bar.
Really? Yeah, but we've only played 27 games so far? We're about 27 games in. Yeah. And so far, 13 teams have lost 5 or more games in a row.
Yeah, it's true. I wonder what the number is on average after 82. Like, how many teams? Do you reckon what you get over 20 teams that lose 5 in a row in a season on average?
Yeah, good point.
So, that is pretty surprising this early in the season. But at the same time, you could still be a 500 team having lost 5 games in a row.
True.
Yeah, you could get your loser point. But yeah, that's impressive. And I assume the Canadians are one of those 13 teams.
Yeah, the latest team. I know they won their first game in 9 last night, but the latest team was the Habs, who for the first time in 80 years, as I mentioned in the smooth recap, went winless 8 games in a row. And the Hulk is definitely feeling the heat in Montreal. A mere 8 years into his 5-year plan.
Isn't that crazy that he's been around for 8 years now?
I know. And right now they're kind of stuck in no man's land. And so here's my question is, do they just Jets this or Canucks this and see it out with the young players? Or do they have to make a move to try and bolster their ranks by a trade?
Well, I mean, they need to try and make a move, but it's more to get rid of the dead weight or soon to become dead weight in Carey Price and Shea Weber. I don't know, because ideally you make a good move, bolster your defence, and try and go from there and try and almost blues your way to a cup. But even the Blues had some level of great game breaking talent in Vlad Tarasenko.
And O'Reilly.
Yeah, O'Reilly deserves to be considered in that regard as well. The problem is the Canadians are deep enough at forward, but they just haven't got anyone who is that sort of game breaking elite talent. And then they've got a relatively average defence, average to bad defence, and one of 2 extremely overpaid goalies in the league. I think if I was Bergevin, I'd probably just see it out. Or no, in an ideal world, I'd see it out. But he's got to, hear the knocks coming at his door, so he probably will make some sort of trade to try and seem like he's actually doing something. Because if he doesn't do anything, he's definitely going to get sacked.
I think I'd make a trade.
Because you have to. You can't bank on the fact that it's suddenly going to just turn around and everything's going to be, hunky-dory. Because that's the only way. If he doesn't do anything, they carry on losing, or they don't get noticeably better, then he's gone.
Exactly. And, God, I'm sure we discussed this on one of our first shows, but they are still looking for a quality 1C. They still haven't got that first-line centre who, like you say, is that player who can... This guy drives our team. He makes us all move, Well,
Kotkaniemi could become that, but it's only his second season in the league. But yeah, he's not exactly... he's not there yet, is he?
No, exactly. And the thing with the Canadians is that they have drafted well. So they have decent young talent. Like Ryan Poling, Suzuki, Kotkaniemi, Josh Brook, Cole Caulfield. They've got 12 picks as well. They've got 12 picks this year.
That's crazy.
You could easily package one of those players, a first, and like 2/4 to try and bring in that O'Reilly type player. Because when Ryan O'Reilly was traded, that was seen as that's kind of worked out for both teams. The Sabres got 4 pieces back, I think, and the Blues got what they thought was their 1C. And he turned out to be that. It took a while to get going, obviously, but he turned out to be that player. Now, I don't know. The question then is, who would the Canadians get? I have no idea. I have no idea. Because obviously, you're looking at, like you say, you're looking at Weber's and Price's contracts, and you're never really going to have that much cash to spend if you're trying to fill out the rest of your team. So I don't know, but I think there was a report this week as well, like attendance is down because at the Bell Centre they announced an attendance that was something like 100 below capacity, and there was clearly like 1,000 seats empty or something like that. It was clear that the announced attendance wasn't the attendance.
Yeah, which is impressive for Montreal because the whole thing with the Canadians is they sell out rain or shine sort of thing.
That's not going to look good. That's not going to look good to the higher ups, is it? Because as we've said before, the other side of hockey is it's the side that fills people's pockets, and if crowds are down in Montreal, then the owners and the all the bigwigs are going to be sort of, hang on a minute, we need to do something here because we can't keep having this.
Well, they'll probably take a swing for Taylor Hall, won't they?
Right now, he is a player who is out there, available, and can be that player.
Yeah, I don't necessarily think he's in an ideal world. He's not the player you go for, but he, like you say, is the only one who's strictly available of that level of talent. So, and it's that age-old one of if you can add a Taylor Hall, you always add a player of his caliber, no matter whether you need him or not.
Would they not do what they always do and just try and play him at centre?
I'd love to
Could
see
you imagine?
that. I'd love to see that. Play him at D.
Because that's the thing, isn't it? They've never just gone and got a centre. I mean, to be fair, they've been drafting centres, but like you say, it's how long does Bergevin have before he can keep saying, I just need a bit more time for these players to develop, just a bit more time.
I've just got to find
before
that
he gets
centre.
the axe.
I've just got to find that centre.
Yeah.
Yeah, I still can't believe that he's been on the job for 8 years. That's crazy.
I can't either.
Here we are. Yeah,
But then, like we say, would you dare go and fire him? I wouldn't.
I'd send someone else to go and fire him. Or do it over the phone.
Just a goon.
If I'm Jeff Molson, I'd just be in a helicopter and then phone him. Say, Mark, you're...
He couldn't, because once he hulked up, he could jump into the air and grab the helicopter.
Rip it out of the sky.
Yeah, you'd have to be in another country or something, or you'd have to send somebody equally. You'd have to kind of get Loki or Christ, I don't know, Superman or something to be on your side to deliver the message because it couldn't kill him.
You wouldn't be in a helicopter like outside of his office. You'd be on the other side of the hemisphere, constantly on the move, so he can never find your location.
You know he get to do it, don't you? You know the guy who jumped out the air balloon in space? Is it Felix Baumgartner?
Yeah,
you get him to do it. Just ring him from that balloon, that air balloon, the space balloon.
What? And then he jumps out and hurtles back to Earth, where an enraged Mark Bergevin is waiting to catch him and tear him in half.
Shit, you found a flaw in my plan. That's point.
You want the opposite. You want a geezer that goes from Earth up into space, not space back down to Earth.
That's what you do then. The next time somebody has to go up to the space station, as they're like 5, 4, 3. Hello, Mark. You fired. Lift off. A space shuttle, and off it goes.
But that's still dangerous because he knows where they're going, and then he can track them online where they are at any given point.
You see, do you know what the problem is? You see, we've found out the problem here is that I've thrown 3 or 4 different scenarios at you, and you've proven every time why Mark Bergevin just cannot be fired.
So it's just not going to happen.
Doesn't matter where you are, he'll find you.
For the sake of humanity, we can't fire Mark Bergevin.
Yeah, it's not for the sake of whoever's going to deliver the message. It's for the sake of the human race.
Oh yeah,
we can't fire Mark Bergevin
because if he goes on,
that's why he's been there for 8 years.
It's just over, isn't it? I mean, he probably.
I mean, other players have not performed as well. I mean, Thomas Tatar, Philip Deneau, Brendan Gallagher, Max Domi, all had big years last year, and they've all dropped off. I don't know why. Is it Julien? I don't know. He seems to not be getting any stick in Montreal. A lot of people in Montreal are still saying he is the right guy for the job. We think he is a good coach and we think he's doing the right things. But like I've said before, you can't fire the entire team. It's one guy.
Yeah, I mean, Obviously, the blame lies with the players because they're the ones who play the games, so I'm told. But I think these players aren't as good as they need to be. You know what I mean? It's not Max Domi's fault he's not Sidney Crosby. You know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
Max Domi is a bad example because everything that happens to Max Domi is Max Domi's fault. But it's not Brendan Gallagher's fault that he's not Taylor Hall or Alex Ovechkin or whatever. Like, just because you had a career year last year doesn't mean that it's your fault that you don't then repeat your career year and you go back to the mean sort of thing. But yeah, I think this will be Bergevin's last year if they don't make the playoffs again, which it looks like they probably won't.
Just quickly to come back to Taylor, like if you're a Taylor Hall, would you go there? Or as we've said before, would you rather go to a team that you think actually this team can win, like this team will win?
I wouldn't.
I want to win. He's gonna want to play in the playoffs. He's like, what was it, once in like 8 years or something ridiculous?
He's had 5 playoff games in his entire career.
He's played 5 playoff games in his career. He's a Hart winner, and he's played 5 playoff games in his career.
I 100% wouldn't sign a contract with Montreal, but he doesn't have any trade protection, does he? So.
Oh yeah, true, good point.
So yeah, that's what I'm saying. They trade for him, and he wouldn't sign because he's had experience in Edmonton. Imagine how scared he must be of going to Montreal.
Yeah, true.
But yeah, at the same time, like I could see him trading for him, even if because Mark Bergevin's got nothing to lose really, because he must understand that he's going to be on the block if he doesn't do something.
Yeah, you swing for the fences.
Yeah, and Taylor Hall's the only fence you can swing for at the moment.
And like I said, they have got the pieces to do it, so it does kind of make sense.
I could see it. I mean, I don't necessarily know whether it will happen, but I think there's a chance that they'll have the best package to offer as far as teams that might be interested.
I don't know. I'm still sticking with my original week, and we called this months back, was the Avs.
Oh yeah, I still think he'll end up there, won't he?
They can afford definitely to lose picks, lose a couple of prospects. Great young team, plenty of cap. They've still got cap space. Like it's a good team, and they got good depth.
Yeah, I do kind of want to see him go there, as much as I really, really don't want to see him go there.
At least you get to watch him a lot, Will.
Yeah, which is just what I want to see the Avs tearing the Stars apart more than they already have.
Oh, sorry. Shit. I don't want to bring this up. I genuinely thought you were going to scratch the Dallas Stars for their performance again against the Jets because of what Laine said afterwards.
Well, I don't like to repeat myself, but what did Laine say after the game?
It was something along the lines of, I wish we played these guys every week because I'd score way more goals.
What a bastard. And it's true. Like it's true, yeah. From the moment he came into the league, he's just been a star killer. And it's... What a prick. What a funny bastard. I want hockey players to have more personality and drop more quotes, but not like this. Not at my expense, Dan.
Patrick Laine and Taylor Hall in your league. Oh shit, dude. I feel bad. That'd be terrible.
Yeah, I'm not excited by the prospect, but for the good of the game, take one for the team and all that.
Anyway, let's move on. Did you notice what happened to the Blackhawks this week with the salary cap?
Oh yeah, they could only dress 17 skaters, which is my favourite thing that happens. Whenever a team's so close to the cap, they can't call someone up when a player's injured. Oh, absolute chef's kiss to that sort of situation, especially when it's augmented by the fact that the team's shit on top of it.
That's the thing, isn't it? For a team that bad to be against the cap and only be able to dress 17 skaters. So, just for backstory, without you having to become the Stephen Hawking of salary cap issues, the Blackhawks lost 2 players on Monday. One of them was Robin Lehner, and they had to call up a backup goalie, meaning they had to send a roster player down, which only left them with $237,000 available in cap space. And there you go. Obviously, the minimum is $700,000, so they couldn't call anyone up.
And it's just lovely.
And then, on top of that as well, with Mitch Marner on his way back, the Leafs sent down Nick Shaw, who went on waivers, who was picked up by the Jets. They've got to send down 3 more players as well. And then once they've done that, they'll have enough cap space for 21 players. And then if the same situation happens to them that happened to the Blackhawks, the Leafs will also be on demand. Which, It's insane. It's insane what this cap has done to teams. That they've just... It's crazy. Like, for teams to be that tight against the cap and to be in situations where they might have to start not dressing enough skaters, I just find that insane.
That's the thing. It's not what the cap's done to teams. It's what the teams have done to themselves.
True.
If there was better cap management, like the Blackhawks being a great example, you look at their forward court and there's so many, like, bargain basement contracts there, but there's also, Brandon Saad for $6 million. There's Andrew Shaw for what, 4.5?
Brent Seabrook,
well overpaid. And then I was going to say, you get to the defence and it's just 6 overpaid geezers, and Duncan Keith on top of it. Like, you got your Ollie Matters, you got your some of them are serviceable defensemen like Calvin Hand and stuff like that, but like, you can't afford to have that many players who aren't worth that money. Like, they've got to be paying near $30 million for their decor. It's not worth it in the slightest.
I'm just checking.
So I've got.
Conor Murphy's making $3.85 million.
Stuff like that. Like, Conor Murphy is not worth that. Like, and you can replace Conor Murphy for $1.5 million tops. Was I right? How much are they spending total on their D? It's got to be about 30, isn't it?
It's shade under 28.
That's still too much. What, you got Seabrook coming in at 6.8 or something? Keith?
Yep, Keith's 5.5. Calvin DeHaan 4.5. Ollie Matters 4. Conor Murphy 3.85. Gustafsson 1.2. And then Dennis Gilbert at 9.25. And Slater Kirkuk at 9.25.
Yeah, that's crazy. Obviously, the last 3 are definitely not the problem, but it's the first 4 that really are. Like, so yeah, no sympathy for these teams. Only gloating and joy at their idiocy and lack of maths.
Do you know as well? They decided to give Robin Lane a £5 million for 1 year.
I mean, that's not a problem, though, is it?
True.
Because I see your point. It's a lot of money, especially when they're giving Crawford 6.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like 11 million tied up in 2 goalies is a lot to have tied up in 2 goalies. But yeah, it's the building up of all these different, middle class contracts sort of thing, isn't it? Obviously, they've got the two biggies in Tate and Kane, but it's when you're sort of building up all these little 3.5, 4.5. That's where it all kicks in. Like we said the other week with the Maple Leafs, but on the flip side, their trouble is an embarrassment of riches. They've got all these players like your Johnsons, your Kapanens, that sort of thing. Your Kafurts, who earn more than you'd want to be paying them because they play better than they need to play, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, no, you're right. I just realised as well, Alex DeBrincat's 6.4 kicks in next year as well.
Oh, God, they're going to have to send out.
Which, don't get me wrong, totally worth it.
Yeah,
but
crikey.
You're trying to find cap space. You've now got to find space for $6.4 million.
They're going to go from 11 forwards and 6 D-men to plumbing 11 skaters and 4 D-men just to fit Alex DeBrincat in.
Dylan Strome is RFA next year. This is his last year, $860,000. He needs paying next year.
He'll get probably 5.5.
How's Dylan Strome doing this year? Let's have a quick look.
He's injured at the moment. I don't think he's doing as well as he did last year, but I reckon he'll still get paid though.
17 in 23. Not bad.
That's
not bad.
Yeah, I've been wrong before. That's enough for a $6 million player nowadays, isn't it?
I think so, yeah.
Christ. Oh, excellent. Long may it continue.
Yeah, so the fact the Blackhawks were that up against the cap, and so far Alex DeBrincat this season is making $770,000, and next year he's making 6.4.
Yep, it's another example of not taking advantage of your cheap players by overpaying your bad players, and it just happens time and time and time again.
I think this is the first time I remember for a long time that a team's been so bad against the cap that they've been like undermanned.
Happened to the Penguins.
I mean, I know it's due to injuries and stuff, but in the year 2019, we've got a professional hockey team not able to kind of manage its roster properly. That's ridiculous.
It's crazy. Yeah, I think it happened to the Penguins last year because of injuries as well. But Yeah,
Oh, yes, you're right. It did, yes.
it's still infrequent enough that it should be absolutely ridiculed and enjoyed when it does happen.
There's been a lot of talk this week about Cale Makar, who's already a lock for the Calder, and maybe in the Norris conversation. So I had a quick look, and I saw that obviously Quinn Hughes is the guy who's second favourite, and he's been overshadowed a little bit. Makar currently sat on 26 points, and Hughes on 23. As we all know, in any statistical data, points is all that matters. I thought I'd have a little look and see how they stack up on the ice, and it's pretty interesting, Will, because you would think Cale Makar was miles ahead of Hughes in every single category, and he isn't. I've done a little bit of research. I'm gonna throw some stats at you, if that's all right.
Please do. I love a good stat.
This is all strengths via natural stat trick, obviously. Shout out to those guys. Cale Makar Corsi 57.5, Quinn Hughes 63.5, goals for Cale Makar 69.5, Hughes 65, shooting Makar 58, Hughes 62, scoring chances Makar 61, Hughes 61, high danger chances Makar 66, Hughes 63. It's pretty even from what I can see.
It's pretty close. I forget who someone had a really good tweet outlining him, sort of thing, the differences. I'm reluctant to do it because Cale Makar's fantastic, but I'm unfortunately contractually obliged to back Quinn Hughes for the Calder and say that he deserves it more than Cale Makar, just because of the similarities between Hughes and Makar this year to Heiskanen and Darlene last year, with Makar being Darlene and Heiskanen being Hughes, sort of thing. Just where Hughes has faced tougher competition, etc., less favourable zone starts and all that, and he's still up there in the counting stats with Makar. I think definitely it's Makar's to win, Makar's to lose, as it were, and he definitely deserves it. But legally, I have to be Team Hughes on this one, unfortunately.
Well, that's the thing. After looking into their stats a little bit and kind of crunching the numbers, if I got if I got a Calder vote and you asked me to do it today, I would really struggle to pick who I'd pick number one. It's not that clear for me anymore. Looking at these numbers, I was doing the same thing. I was kind of just reading all the fancy headlines, and when you look at these numbers, it's way closer than anyone's looking at.
Definitely, and I'm sure he probably is in Vancouver and probably Canadian media at large, but it feels like Quinn Hughes isn't getting the same sort of love that Makar is. Which
not
should
at all.
be no
Not
surprise
at all.
to anyone, as the hockey world can only enjoy one rookie defenseman at once.
There's only room for one.
Yeah, absolutely. This town isn't big enough for both of us, but fair play to Quinn Hughes. Unsurprisingly, going to be a fantastic D-man in the NHL.
And this isn't to play down, obviously, what Cale Makar's done or his ability or anything.
No,
he is a fantastic player.
Absolutely tearing he should be considered for the Norris, without a doubt.
Oh yeah, completely. I was talking to Silver Badge Pro and Clements on Twitter this week, and we were just kind of marvelling about his ability and stuff, and it was kind of mad. But I was looking at the draft he was taken in 2017, but Makar wasn't even projected to be top 10 overall. He was projected 9th overall just via American skaters. But then there were the Europeans ahead of him, like Pettersson, Heiskanen, Martin Natchez was ahead of him. Shout out to the Avalanche for taking him at 4th, because I think it kind of may have surprised a few people.
Oh yeah, definitely. Well, he was playing in the AJHL, the Alberta Junior Hockey League, which isn't even, it's like second tier junior.
Yeah.
So he wasn't. I think that there's always hesitancy to take players who aren't playing in the top tier of their age group, sort of thing. So yeah, definitely there was part of a prejudice on that part, but it doesn't detract from the fact that Colorado took a bit of a swing for him, and it definitely worked out.
Yeah, I'll say. Jesus Christ.
And was that with one of... No, that wasn't with the Ottawa pick, was it?
No, that was this year, wasn't it?
That was this year for Byron Byram.
Yes, that's right, yeah.
Absolutely great pick. Yeah, I'll be... he won't get the Norris. I doubt he'll even be a finalist for that Norris, but he'll walk to the Calder. Absolutely.
Yeah, I'd still take Carlson or Heiskanen for the Norris at the moment.
Yeah, I think
not Erik Karlsson, John Carlson.
Yeah, John Carlson. Yeah, I don't think, as much as Heiskanen deserves it, in my own biased opinion, I don't think he'll be a finalist either.
Really?
No, I don't think so. He doesn't.
I don't think he'll win it. I think Carlson will win it because he'll get the most points, and that's what matters when you're a defenseman, apparently, as we all know. But,
well, I mean, if you're doing crazy things in the scoring department, which Carlson definitely is, then you deserve some recognition for it. But yeah, I know what you mean. It's a nuanced position that isn't treated as nuanced as it should be when it comes to awards voting. But
so, speaking of Dallas D-men, Julius Honka and Jesse Puljujarvi are not coming back. They are still exiled to Europe. So
exile. They've been excommunicated.
Well, they'll be there for the time being, at least. Here's the thing with this then. Do you think the Stars and the Oilers saw what happened with Nylander and just thought, we're not doing any of that? Like, we have to stay in control. We have to be the team that has the power. And unless we get the offer we want, that's it. We're not just going to get rid of him because we want to get rid of him.
Yeah, I think so. And I think from the buyer's perspective, they've got to be looking at, right, we're only a couple of months into a season or whatever. You can't buy on just 2 months worth of production sort of thing. Because Puljujarvi and Honka are both doing well out in Finland. But I think if I was wanting to give it a go, I'd want to see a full season's worth of production before I bid on it, sort of thing. So
yeah, true, good point. Yeah, and if they have good seasons, then obviously it bumps up their price, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly. I think they'll both definitely move in the summer. I just think, everyone's got to be waiting to see, right, let's see what they actually do in a full season, rather than, anyone can have a hot streak and keep going, up until Christmas. I still don't think that either of them will get much of a package back. I think if anything involving a third round pick in either of the trades, I'll be surprised. Not to say that the players don't deserve it, but it's just the situation. Like we're talking about with Taylor Hall, you can't really read what's going to happen necessarily. RFAs that aren't going to sign, that are ultimately unproven for whatever reason in the league. Yeah, I don't think there's going to be a massive package swung for either of the players.
Well, do you remember last year when the Ottawa Senators were making headlines on the ice for being terrible, and they were making headlines off the ice for being terrible?
Roughly.
It was all the wrong reasons.
Cody Ceci setting people on fire.
Yeah, things like that. And secret recordings and all kinds of stuff. How the times have changed. Not only now are the Senators looking better on the ice and seem to be making progress and people think that they're kind of on the right track, their players are now making headlines off the ice, as Mark Borowiecki is, as his nickname suggests, Boro Cop. This week tries to perform a citizen's arrest. He does aid in taking down a miscreant and retrieving somebody's stolen goods.
Saw this suspicious guy just kind of like shuffling down the sidewalk, and he had a bike with him. So you hear this huge, see him and hear this huge bang, and I just hear this like blue Chevy Impala, the passenger side window just shatters. I yelled at him from across the street, and I was like, "Put the bag down, bro." I started trotting across the street, and I was like, "Dude, like, put the bag down." At this point, I started running towards him because I knew he was going to take the bag. So I don't know, like 3 hard pedals towards me, thinking, I don't know if he thought I was just going to ram me or if I was going to jump out of the way. And I had my baby stuff in my right hand, so with my left arm, I just kind of like reflexively, like, I'll clear the air. I didn't like, my first thought was, if I absolutely destroy this guy and he gets hurt, like, what are the legal ramifications for me here? Because I could have done some damage. So I was like, try to do this as gently as I can. So I just like kind of hooked my left arm and sort of like under his arm and like pulled him off the bike to the ground. And like that was the same arm that had the bag. So I had like his arm and the bag on my left arm, I think. And he was like down, kind of like trying to get away from me, swearing at me. And I was just ready, like kind of like waiting if he pulled something sharp, I was going to drop my baby supplies and crack him one. But he just kind of like got his bike and went away. And again, I didn't really know like what the rules of engagement, so to speak, were, like whether I could pin him down or like how hard I could hit him. So I was like, I'm just going to make sure I don't like physically hurt this guy, but get the bag back. And the cops kind of had a good chuckle about that with me after. And I called them and just waited by the car because there was a bunch of snowboards in there and other stuff. And the cops were like, yeah, took my statement and said they'd try to contact whoever it was. So they opened the bag up, and first thing they found was a couple of passports. So right place at the right time.
Yeah, it's good. I want to see the follow-up interview with Eugene Melnick, where they're both just sitting in a couple of armchairs talking about hockey and say, all right, how about we now talk about vigilantism? He's like, well, Eugene, do I have a story for you? Good on Borowicki. It's weird, isn't it?
The plot twist for me was that the robber was Eugene, and he's trying to steal a bag of cash because he needs the money. And that's why Borowicki let him go. He's like, Mark, it's me. It's like, oh shit, Eugene, quick run. I'll tell the police you're someone else.
He was in such deep cover that even his comrade in arms, Borowicki, didn't recognise him.
It was fantastic. He said he basically, the guy rode a bicycle at him at high speed and he took him down.
That was the thing I didn't get, like the geezers on the bike, and Borowicki's like, well, I'll just lamp you, I suppose. Punched a geezer off a bike.
He said, I'm gonna put his I've got his interview, so I'm gonna put it in. But he basically said that he didn't want to smash the guy off the bike in case the guy got really hurt, which is true. You want to be a vigilante, but you sometimes think, well, if somebody comes into my house and tries to rob me and I end up stabbing them somehow or something, am I going to prison? Like, this guy's trying to rob me. Like, what's the deal here?
Yeah, that's the thing, especially where, like, he's in a public place and stuff, and, like, Borowicki doesn't really have any... He wasn't acting in self-defence. He wasn't...
Yeah.
Yeah, he was acting in the public interest, you could argue, or whatever. Yeah, I mean, Jesus Christ, if Borowicki had, like, killed the guy, if he'd have pushed him off and he'd hit his head or something... Borowicki could have gone down for manslaughter, I think.
Exactly. I see, everyone wants to be a hero. It's not like the movies, folks. It really isn't.
There's a reason those people wear a mask. It's because what they're doing is highly illegal as well.
Yeah, exactly. That's why Batman wears a mask. He's actually a very illegal person doing illegal things.
And that's why he doesn't wear hockey pads, because he's got the money from his illegal activity to afford custom-made Kevlar armour.
Borowicki said as well that he's not exactly the biggest guy or the best guy who's a fighter on the ice, but he says in the street he fancies himself. Fucking hell. Like,
no, he didn't.
Yeah, he did.
Mate.
It was words to that effect. It was he said, like, people in the street, I think, I can handle myself pretty well. Said something like that.
I love the idea. Borowicki going down the shops, just like eyeing everybody up, like, yeah, I can have you. You're fucking nothing, mate. Easy, I've got you.
He's like in the Bourne Supremacy, the Bourne Identity. He's just sat in a cafe talking to his wife. Do you know what I know? I know I could kill that guy. I know I could beat that guy up there. I know the guy behind the bar weighs this much and probably has a gun, but I think I could take him out.
I could still,
all right, Mark.
I could still one-shot him.
That guy sat in the booth over there. I could kill him with one finger. I'll watch. You watch me. I'll do it. Mark, sit down. Eat your eggs. Sorry.
I can see the mugshot already where he's holding that, the criminal number or whatever, and he's in front of a height thing. Senators, defensemen involved in street fracas.
Yeah. Involuntary manslaughter. Kills man on push bike.
Like walking around with his shirt off and some MMA gloves on, like just trying to fight people. I'm the fucking daddy out here. They call me Borrow Cop.
Oh, fantastic.
Ah.
And a fair play to the Senators as well, who then used his face to mash up a RoboCop scene with him in it, which was excellent work by the Sens PR team. Fantastic.
Yeah, I've got to be honest, I've completely changed my opinion on this situation now. Now that he said he thinks he can just take out anyone in the street, like, nah, that's clearly someone enacting some weird, violent fantasy. It's like, right, I've always wanted to.
Did you know what else he said as well? He said that he was carrying stuff for his baby. So he'd been to some shop to get like baby food and stuff like that.
Yeah. And
he said that if the guy had pulled out something sharp, I'd have just dropped the baby food and cracked him one. Would you, Mark?
Would have been easy, mate. Easy as 1, 2, 3. If there was a terrorist that came towards me, wouldn't even think twice, mate.
Yeah.
He'd be sorry he ever
If
met
we'd have
Mark
pulled out a
Borowiecki.
knife, I'd have dropped my baby food and cracked him one. Fucking hell.
I feel like, is Mark Borowiecki actually a Mitchell brother? The third Mitchell brother?
Shit, he could be, couldn't he?
He looks like
He could be.
could be the Mark Mitchell, their cousin from Ottawa, Ontario.
Oh, dearie me. Dearie me. The Sens, it's all positive vibes at the moment. It's all positive.
At the moment. It's all, the wheels will come off eventually.
There's always time. Oh, yeah, of course. There's always plenty of time for it to go all Eugene, isn't there?
Go 100% Eugene.
It's strange. He's been a bit quiet, hasn't he? It's a bit strange.
Yeah, I'm suspicious. Maybe he's working for a bigger plot.
Yeah. I was going to say one of two things is happening. He's probably in his cryo chamber somewhere being fed like teenager's blood through an IV drip or something. Or he's working on that $1 billion lawsuit that somebody filed against him over that flats deal.
Yeah, I think that's the problem. He can't afford to leave the house. Like, he can't afford to put any petrol in any of his cars. Can't afford the bus.
Maybe that's where Borowiecki was going. Maybe he was getting Eugene shopping for him.
Baby food. Eugene's having to live off baby food because he hasn't got any money anymore.
Yeah, he is. He can't afford solids, Will. That's a problem.
Yeah, I was just getting stuff for my baby is code for my Eugene.
I was buying stuff for Eugene for the week.
My wee baby Eugene.
I had to go to Iceland, get him a ton of fish fingers and deep fried pizzas.
Bloody farm foods. Oh, Jesus. Fun never stops, Dan.
Never stops. Anything else you want to discuss, mate?
No, I've got nothing. I think it kind of, thankfully, it's been a bit of a lull and back to business as usual this week, isn't it?
Yeah, thank God.
Absolutely.
All right, then, cool. The last thing, Will, which I'm kind of glad we avoided last week, as I didn't want you to spiral into more of a depression.
Didn't even update, did we?
No, but that's fine.
I haven't hit the magic number.
You're only 9 points behind.
Hey, Will, you schmuck. You're going to get roasted by an 8-year-old, you fool.
As I swear, and I thank God again, we put this out there. For the second week in a row, my girl went 5 for 5.
She's a new Frank Yoxbus, isn't she?
I don't know what she is. I'm slightly concerned that she's some kind of hockey savant, and I had no idea. Is she even my daughter? Was she bred in a lab?
She's like a little psychic being that was sent to this earth to predict hockey scores, and she's finally found. It's nice that she found her calling in life. You know, a lot of people don't find it that early on.
True, she's found it at such a young age as well.
Mate, you need to start profiting out of this.
Well, I wouldn't be the person I am if I didn't then work out how much money I would have made if.
Well, how much would you have got if you'd have put, I don't know, a tenner on each game or whatever?
I worked out if I'd have put a 5-team accumulator on for the first week, I would have made, I can't remember what the bet was, but I would have made 50 quid. So if I'd have then rolled that over, but if I'd have then rolled that over, it would have been something like $3,500 or something ridiculous like that.
Well, you can do that on an accumulator. You can do like a 2-week long accumulator sort of thing.
Oh, I know. But I know the second I put on a 5-team accumulator, she'll lose every single one. So I can't do it. But
well, I'd recommend that you do.
Dude, 2 weeks in a row, 5 for 5. It's ridiculous.
Scary, actually.
That's pretty worrying, isn't it? Or to be fair, it shows she has the same intelligence as a PlayStation 4 or a 2p coin. So, swings and roundabouts, isn't it, really?
Well, one of those is significantly more intelligent than the other.
Very true, very true. All right, this week's games. Leafs Avs, which is tonight.
Oh, that's a nasty one. Avs, I've got to say Avs, because the Leafs are not doing too good.
Okay, she took the Leafs. Stars Jets.
Again, oh Jesus Christ, Jets.
She took the Jets. Ducks Capitals.
Capitals.
She took the Ducks.
Of course she
Flames
did.
Kings. Of course she did.
Of course she did. Oh jeez. I've got to say Flames, but they're doing some weird things out there with their lines, and I don't necessarily know if that's going to work. but I can't, in good conscience, pick the Kings. So Flames.
Yeah, she took the Flames as well. And then Golden Knights, Rangers.
Golden Knights, definitely.
Okay, she took the Rangers. All right. Let's see if next week is the last week, as we hit the mercy score of 10 points.
The mercy score. I'll be so livid if I get to, minus 10 and you come in with like, well, guess who made 300 quid on a Zaka this week?
We can't end it. We can't end it because this is a story. If she ends up winning this by about 55 points, we've got to carry on. All right,
I will.
And I promise next season you can ask me. It is.
Thanks. That's the mercy that I need.
What else can I do, Will? What else can I do?
Financial compensation for this emotional abuse I've suffered for 3 years.
Emotional distress. Yeah, sorry. All right, there we go. Thankfully, folks, back to normal this week. A bit more lighthearted. We try not to be too down and depressing, but sometimes we have to talk about the things that are there in front of us, and that's what we had to do last week. But there we go.
Needs must. Every week can't be jokes. Sometimes you have to rein it in.
Exactly. Anyway, cheers to listening, everybody. Will, any last words?
Absolutely none. Peace and love.
Fantastic. Take care, folks. We'll see you later.
Peace.